What's up, y'all? My name is JR, and for those of you who don't already know, I'm a huge movie and TV nerd. If you're new here, I appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel. I hope you consider sticking around and joining the film community I'm trying to build here on YouTube. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Amazon Prime original, Gen V, and whether or not I think it clears the bar set by the original series, The Boys. And just so you guys know, this video will contain spoilers, so if for some reason you haven't had a chance to see the show yet and you don't want to hear about anything that happens in it, you might want to exit this video now. And with that being said, no more wasting time, let's get into it. Gen V is an American superhero television series developed by Craig Rosenberg, Evan Goldberg, and Eric Kripke, serving as a spin-off of The Boys, also by Kripke, and based on The Boys comic book story arc, We Gotta Go Now, by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. The series stars Jazz Sinclair, Chance Perdomo, Lizzie Broadway, Maddie Phillips, London Thor, Derek Liu, Asa German, and Shelley Kahn in main roles. Gen V serves as the third television series in the Boys franchise, and its first season is set concurrently with the fourth season of The Boys. The series premiered on Amazon Prime Video on September 29th, 2023, and has received mostly positive critic reviews with praise for the characters and performance of its cast, particularly those of Sinclair, Broadway, Phillips, and German, though some criticize the writing and pacing. Nonetheless, many reviewers deem it a strong spin-off of its predecessor. Now, at the time of the making of this video, the TV show has an impressive 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on approximately 109 critic reviews, with a much lower audience score of 77% based on over 1,000 verified ratings. It has a much lower Metascore of only 73 on Metacritic based on 31 critic reviews, with a user score of 5.7 based on just over 171 user ratings. And it has a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb based on over 60,000 reviews. So I want to start off by saying that I do think this show is good. Now, having made that clear, I also think the show is not as good as its predecessor, in that the thing that makes The Boys work so well is The Boys. The vigilante group determined to bring down the inconsiderate and irresponsible supes that have taken so much from them as individuals and from society as a whole. Now, the writers here do make a respectable attempt to give the teenage supes a nemesis to fight, something that threatens their existence, like the boys do for the supes in the original series, but here, it just doesn't play quite the same. Now, the show also has a pacing problem, but I feel like the reason for that was that the writers were trying with all their might to stretch this story into 8 episodes. And, you can see that in the runtime of those episodes. The episodes start off at the beginning of the season running a bit long, but right around the middle of the season, the episodes begin to run not only short, but extremely short. And the finale is the shortest of all the episodes, which is atypical. Now, as for the characters, they aren't as developed as the main characters in the original show. In fact, if you ask me, they all pretty much come across as one-dimensional. All totally defined by whatever issue they're struggling with. In this show, there's no Billy Butcher or Huey or Homelander to center the story around. So the writers try to force Marie Moreau into that role here. But despite the writers trying to force our focus to Marie's backstory, the character just isn't quite interesting enough to pull the weight of an 8-episode season all by herself, which is evidenced by the writers feeling the need to bring Homelander in to do some sweeping up in the finale. Another way I think the writers fell short with this show was the dialogue, as it just wasn't as polished as it is in the original show. And, I know all too well that writing for teenage characters can be an adventure in and of itself at times, especially for those of us who have long since graduated from that time in our lives. But the words in this show got downright cringy at times, especially where Emma was concerned. Almost every other line out of her mouth was about servicing someone sexually or being serviced by someone sexually. The writers basically turned her character into a complete cliche, and it not only made her unremarkable, but it made her downright irritating at times. And speaking of sex, the show is just as overtly crass as the original, and it felt like the writers went out of their way here to one-up the male nudity and the sex scenes here, which I found, again, to be totally unnecessary in most cases. Because though I did find myself caring a bit about the personal issues that these young supes were struggling with as they staggered their way into adulthood, those feelings were often overshadowed by their self-absorption and their unfettered recklessness, especially where sex was involved. It feels like they stopped everything, no matter what was going on. We got a bone. It was just this thing that just kind of, it just played over and over and over again. And it just got to be a lot. This show essentially plays like season 3.5 of The Boys, which makes me wonder why Amazon Prime decided to have it be its own thing instead of simply weaving the Godolkin storyline into season 4 of the original show. I think that would have eliminated a lot of the problems that the show has to contend with, and we would have had the characters from the original series to hold the season up. And though I know it might seem like I'm ripping the show a new one, again, I do think the show is good. I just didn't think it quite lived up to my expectations after having watched the original series. And I think that ultimately, while season 1 of the show falls just on the right side of good to get a pass from me, I also think this show has a rather short shelf life as a standalone story, and eventually this show is going to have to merge with the original to avoid a crash and burn scenario. But what do you guys think? Do you think Gen V was on par with the original series? Or do you think the show fell short of what you were expecting having watched The Boys? Let me know in the comments. And for those of you who might be new to the channel, be sure to like and share this video. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. Also, be sure to go and check out themadScreenwriter.com for more television and film reviews and info on my upcoming film projects. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got screenplays to write. And I'll catch y'all on the next video.